Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. My name is Kgaogelo Mashile. I'm a legal and compliance officer from the legal department at SACAP. It's a South African Council for the Architectural Profession. So I'll be doing a presentation today based on the mandatory statutes as required by SACAP. What I'll be doing is I'll be taking you through the built environment profession, how the council is composed, as well as our mandate, a license to practice. As you know, we have a new code of conduct, and also I will be explaining why did we have to amend the previous code of conduct, and then also go through the rules of professional conduct, cancellation of registration, and obviously we'll have to address the issues of candidates. So with regard to the built environment, is that we as a council, we are a creature of statute. So we exist because of an act. So in terms of the act, in terms of this, the act is Act 44 of 2000, which in section 2 of the act, it says that a council must be composed. And therefore, in our council, which is more of board members, we have 7 members, of which all 4 categories of registration are represented. So we have a professional architect in our council. We have a technologist, we have a senior technologist, and also have draft people. So with draft persons, everyone is represented in our board of directors or council. And then these people are appointed by the Minister of Department of Public Works. So it's not just the decision of the registrar of the council, but it's a decision that was made by the minister to say that I am appointing the certain people to be part of the council. And then with regard to our vision, mission, and values, is that whatever we do, we want to be transparent. Whatever work that is expected from us as a council, we want to be transparent, and we also want to take responsibility and be accountable for our own decisions and actions as a regulatory body. And then what we want also, we expect our registered persons to act with integrity and respect in all conduct or in all services when they provide to the members of the public. And then what you also want is that you want to sustain to sustain a leading society in the built environment. As you know, we have other sister councils. So what you want to be the leading and sustainable regulatory body in those. And then when we look at our mandate, we have quite a number of mandates. Obviously, one of our mandates is to keep a register of registered persons. So if you are registered, it means you are on our database. So if you are not registered, it means we will not have you on our database. So what the Act expects from us, as I've stated, that we are a creature of statute, we exist because of a statute. Therefore, whatever person is practicing architecture, they must be on our database, whether it's registered under candidacy or registered as a professional. So also, on the next slide, you'll see that one of our mandates is the IDOW. So we determine the identification of work. So we determine what a certain category of registration can do. We determine if you are registered under draft persons, or if you are registered as a technologist, what categories of work can you do? So we look at that. We look at that based on your competency, and then we also identify. Professional fee guideline. It's a guideline. So it's a document that looks at what can you charge as a registered person. So what Section 17 of the same Act states is that as a council, we can establish any committee whatsoever relevant in the performance of our functions, in the performance of our mandate. For example, we have the investigation committee. So the investigation committee is the committee that I sit in. It's a committee that looks at complaints that are lodged by members of the public. So what this committee does is they look at the complaints, and then they make a decision, therefore, after an investigation has been conducted. Also, what we also do is we look at the IDOW. The IDOW, there's a committee that is specified, that is specifically for IDOW. It looks at what the draft person can do, what the technologist can do. So there is a committee that looks solely at those mandates. On the next slide, you can also see that not everyone can practice architecture. As I've stated before, that Section 18 gives all categories of registration that you can be registered under. You can be registered as a professional architect, a professional senior technologist, or a technologist, or even a draftsperson. So if you're not registered in any of those categories, you cannot practice architecture, because in terms of Section 41, subsection 1, you will be found guilty of a criminal offense. Because if you do so, if we find that you're practicing architecture and you're not registered, it means you're guilty of a criminal offense. And also looking at Section 26 and paragraph 3, paragraph B to D, it states that you may not even pass yourself as someone who's registered. So for instance, if you did not pay your annual fees and then you are deregistered, and then thereafter you continue to practice architecture, it means you will be guilty of Section 41, subsection 1 of the Act. You will be guilty of a criminal offense. And then also, if you are deregistered but you continue to pass yourself as someone who's registered, you will also be guilty of the same act, of the same section of 41, subsection 1. So with regard to Section 41, subsection 1, because the Act does not give us the authority to prosecute, in the South African law, the only institution that is given the power to prosecute is the National Prosecuting Agency. So what we do is, when we receive a complaint of someone who's been practicing architecture, but they are not registered with the council, we refer that matter to the police. So it's the police that will prosecute you. But what we do is that we help the police in the investigation, and should they need anything from us, then we also supply those things to them. Like they usually, in the recent cases, they needed us to come and testify, and we did go there and then we testified. So there was a prosecution, and if you are found to be practicing architecture when you're not registered, you will be prosecuted. With regard to the code of conduct, one functions of the investigation committee is to ensure that registered members adhere to the code of conduct. So the code of conduct is there to guide the registered persons into ensuring that they conduct their business in an ethical manner, and then to also ensure that they conduct their act in a due skill and competency when they are providing a service to the members of the public. So I'll take you through the code of conduct. As I've stated, that we have a new code of conduct. With the new code of conduct, the reason we had to have a new code of conduct is because things are changing. Now people are working from home. We had to have a code of conduct that changes with things. So we had to have a code of conduct that is relevant to what is happening in the world. So with regard to Rule 1, can you just go back to the other slide? With regard to with the code of conduct, because it's a comprehensive document, it's a large document, I will not be taking you through one by one with regard to the rules, but I will just briefly explain what is in Rule 1, and then I'll also give examples. So with our definitions, I think this is the best code of conduct that we've ever had, because this code of conduct, for the first time, it explains what is an architectural work. So it explains when you're saying that you are practicing architecture, this code of conduct explains what is it that you are practicing. So with what it does is that it defines practicing architecture as it means to actively practice architecture, work on ongoing basis in one of the category contemplated in Section 18, and include a person qualified in architectural profession who is employed by any sphere of government or educational institution. So for the first time, we have a code of conduct that explains what is architecture. So this also emphasized on Rule 41, subsection 1, that if you are found to be doing any of those things that I've read, then you will be considered as someone who's practicing architecture. And now the second thing is this code of conduct, who does it apply to? So this code of conduct applies to all our registered persons, and this also includes candidates, because there's a rule in the code of conduct that is specifically for candidates. So if you are registered with us, this code of conduct applies to you, and I think it will be very you'll actually be doing your justice if you can just download this document and then just go through it. And if you can just adhere to all the rules in the code of conduct, you will actually be a better professional, and then you will be a better business person. And then when we look at Rule 1, Rule 1 is just to emphasize that we expect our registered persons to act with integrity. So by integrity, we actually mean that you must be honest at all times. So if you're going to provide the service, be honest to your client, because that's what's expected from your regulatory body. Be honest to your client. I'm just going to give an example where we've received a complaint from a member of the public against one of our registered person because they have lied. You receive a service from a member of the public. It looks so easy to you. You're like, no, I will this, you will get approved plans within 2 weeks, or you will get approved plans within 3 weeks. So if you cannot give a timeline, do not give a timeline to your clients, because if it comes to us, we are going to look at the fact that you have failed to act with integrity. You have failed to be honest to your clients. So what is expected from our registered persons is that they must always be honest to their clients, act with integrity at all time, as it's expected by your regulatory body. And then the other interesting rule is Rule 1.9 of the same code of conduct, because it states that if you are going to refer a certain supplier to your client, and then you are going to be getting any interest from that referral, be honest with your client, because now you cannot be referring a certain tile supplier to your client, and then you are not honest with the fact that, no, I'm going to be getting a commission from referring this to you. Because if you are found to be doing that, you are breaching the code. So you might be found guilty of improper conduct. So it's Rule 1.9, and I just think that it's because we have received also a complaint against one of our registered person where they've referred a supplier to their client because he was a principal agent. He referred a supplier to his client, but failed to tell the client that, no, what's going to happen, what's happening is that I have an interest in this company. I am actually a shareholder in the same company. So if you're going to be doing that, be honest with your client. Let them know that I am doing this because there's a commission that I'm going to be receiving, or I'm doing this because I have an interest in that company that I'm referring you to. And also, what is expected in terms of Rule 1 is Rule 1.1.7, among others. So it's not the ones that I'm picking, they are more important than the others. It's just that we don't have enough time to be going through all of them, because under Rule 1, we have up until to Rule 1.117. So with Rule 1, with Rule 1.117 is that it's expected to you that you must not engage in any act of dishonesty. So this is what Rule 1 actually expects from you. And then you must not be engaged, you must not engage in any act of bribery. So if we are found to be doing that, you will be found guilty of improper conduct. And then when we look at Rule 2, Rule 2 is a simple rule, and it doesn't have a lot of subsections. And it just looks at the fact that whenever you are discharging your duties to an employer or to a client or an associate or members of the public, we expect you to do that with due skills, diligence, and competence. This is what this rule actually entails, is that we expect you to do your work with due skills, diligence, and competence. That's it. That's what the Rule 2 expects from you. Because I'm just going to give an example of what the complaints that we receive at the legal department is that we've received this complaint of a member of the public who gave a service to a professional. And then what this professional did is that he went to his office, and then he gave the client plans to choose from, and the client was happy with a certain plan, and then they went and submitted the same plan to the municipality. And then when the plan was approved, only to find out that that plan is actually bigger than the stand. So it means this person did not exercise diligence. So this person did not even apply their diligence by going to the stand and seeing how big it is. So these are the type of things that contravene Rule 2. These are the type of things that you might find yourself guilty of improper conduct because you're not doing. If you are found to be doing that, just whatever you do when you're given a service, we believe as a regulatory body, the reason you're registered with us is because we believe that you're competent and you can do this. So if you are found to be not applying your due diligence, you are found to not being applying your skills as a registered person, you will be found guilty of such contraventions. And then also looking at Rule 3 is promotion of service. I as a business and as a registered person, the council or the regulatory body expect you to promote your services. So, but what we expect you when you're promoting your services is you must be truthful. You must be truthful and be honest when you're promoting your services. Do not lie about what you can do. Do not lie about what your category of registration. Be honest. So with regard to promotion, Rule 3.1 says that a registered person may only communicate and promote themselves and their professional services with honesty, describing both a manner that is related to the work of the professional category of registration. And what we have now is that we have an IDOW. So you cannot, because if you are registered under the category of a technologist, you may not promote the services of a senior technologist. So when you're promoting your services, you must promote the services that they are related to your category of registration. And then you must be honest in doing so. And then the other rule is the administrative function. The administrative function, it's actually it's the famous rule. Most of the complaints that we receive at the legal department, the registered persons are found guilty of this one. They're found guilty of the contravention of Rule 4.1, because Rule 4.1 states that a registered person shall ensure that before they undertake any professional work, they have entered into a written agreement with the client. And then that written agreement must have certain clauses. So what we receive at the legal department is that we have registered persons who conclude the gentleman's agreement. So a handshake, it's a no, this person, I know this person. Let me just, it's a handshake. We just agree. They give me the brief, and then it's done. I'm going to do the work. But the funny thing is, once you saying that it's a gentleman agreement, at the legal department we receive those type of complaints. It shows you that there is no such thing as a gentleman's agreement. If we can receive a complaint from someone that you have looked at as a friend, that no, this is just a friend, I'm just going to be doing a small work for them, but at the end of the day we receive a complaint from your friend, and then when we look at the compliance of the code of conduct, we find out that no, you failed to put the terms of appointment in writing with your friend. So you are found guilty of those small things that we usually overlook because you know the person. So what I'm just emphasizing is, whatever work you do, how small it is, how big it is, put it in writing before you do any work, because it's not only helpful for us as an organization, but it helps you because that agreement also have a dispute resolutions, and then should there be a dispute, then you can refer to that dispute resolution. Then you have to adhere to that resolution before you can come to SACAP. And then with regard to Rule 5 is the establishment of an architectural practice. So what is expected from you when you start a company is that you must inform SACAP 30 days from when you have registered with CIPC, or 30 days from when you've started to work independently, because our requirement is not that you must register with CIPC, but what we want you to do is that you must let us know, as your organization, as your regulatory body, we need to know what are you doing. We need to know where you're practicing from. We need to know how many people I have you employed, what are they doing in that practice. So Rule 5 just expect you to do that, expect you to let us know of the establishment of your practice. And also one of the contravention that we find based on Rule 5.1 is that people don't want to tell us about their business. They don't want to tell us where they're practicing from. Actually, there's a form that you need to complete. It's a very simple form. You just complete it. You let us know that you are practicing, and then your practice name is this and this and this, and then that's it. That's it. And then we also have, there's on your letterhead, as a registered person, there are certain things that we must include on your letterhead. So what the Code of Conduct Rule 5.11 actually states that there on your letterhead, you must, the number of your architectural practice, you must put the category of registration you're under, you must, if there's other principles, if they have any other qualification. So with this one is that you with the letterhead is that your letterhead must adhere to our code of conduct. So it will be very justice for you. You'll be actually helping yourself by just going to our code of conduct, go to Rule 5.11, the new code of conduct, and just make sure that your code of conduct mirrors what is on the code. Your letterhead actually mirrors what is on the code of conduct. And then with regard to Rule 6, is that Rule 6 expects you to always act in the best interest of the environment and also the public interest. So this is just what the rules this Rule 6 takes into account, is that it says that a registered person shall, in the performance of their duties, take all reasonable measures to the best of their knowledge to minimize any adverse impact on the environment. So what Rule 6 expects from you is that you must always act in the best interest of the public and the environment. And then Rule 7 is with regard to our foreign architectural professional. So what Rule 7 is in the new code of conduct, what the Rule 7.2 states that, it states that no foreign architectural persons must be authorized to practice architecture in South Africa unless they've applied and have been granted registration by council for the duration of a specific contract. So what we have seen is that we have seen that foreign architectural professionals are coming to South Africa and they are taking work from our registered persons. So with regard to this rule, it states that in order for them to come and practice work here, they actually need to be registered with us, whether it's for 2 months for that specific contract, but they need to be registered with us. And then if they are found not to be registered with us, they will be subjected to Section 41, subsection 1 of our Act, which is the fact that they will be guilty of a criminal offense. So with our disciplinary rule, it's a different disciplinary procedures is a different document. So this document is actually once we have received the complaint against you, and then now you are subjected to an investigation. It just gives out what's going to happen, whether you go, how are you going to be served. So it's just it's a procedure on how you will be prosecuted should there be a complaint lodged against you. Okay, then we'll move to the next slide. So I've already explained this, that who this code of conduct, who does it apply to? It applies to all natural persons. As long as you're registered with us, it applies to you, whether you are employed as a state in the service of the state, or whether you are employed in a private company. As long as you're practicing architecture, and as I've defined practicing architecture, this code of conduct will apply to you. Okay, can you move on to the next slide? Okay, because it's a new code of conduct, and it's a very interesting code of conduct. One will want to know when does it start applying, this code of conduct. So it was published in February, so therefore it means that it now applies from the date of February. From every conduct that was done on February up until now, the new code of conduct is now applicable. Okay, this is just the code of conduct. We've tried to put the code of conduct entirely, all of it, in this presentation. So I think I've went through most of them. So, but I think it would be very beneficial to our registered person to just go through the code of conduct and familiarize themselves with it. So we've already discussed what is entailed in Rule 2, that you must always be competent whenever you are discharging your duties to the public or whatever client. So even when you promote your services, be honest. Do not lie. If you cannot do a certain work, you can't do it. You must be honest at all time. So we've went through all of them. It's a comprehensive document, and I think if you can just go through it and look at it and try whatever you do, mirror the code of conduct, you will actually be a better business person, and you'll also be a better registered person. So with our disciplinary rules, if you are subjected to those, if we found if someone lodges a complaint against you, okay, yes, now we'll look at so now you are registered, you are adhering to the code of conduct. Now, instances where your registration can be cancelled. With regard to instances where your registration can be cancelled is in section 20, subsection 1, which says that if you fail to pay your annual fees, your registration will be cancelled. And then if you are found to be doing architecture when your registration is cancelled, therefore you will be guilty of section 41, subsection 1 of the Act. So you will be conducting a criminal activity. So, and also, if you request for the council to cancel your registration, you can do so. And then and what is not here on the slide is that in terms of the Act, if someone lodges a complaint against you and then it is found that you have performed work without being registered, and then one of the sanctions that can be imposed by you by a tribunal is cancellation of your registration, but that is subjected to the tribunal. And then with candidate, so what's happening at the legal department is that we have quite a number of complaints received from members of the public complaining about candidates because they are not promoting themselves as such. They tell the members of the public that no, I am a professional, I can do this work independently. So what Rule 2.3 of the Code of Conduct says is that when you are registered under candidates, you must always perform work under the control supervision of a person registered. So that will be your mentor. So I know that we all want to do side works, but if you are going to be doing that, be honest. Tell that person that I am a candidate. Whatever work I'm doing is going to be, it's under my mentorship, it's under my mentor. So if you are found to be doing work without your mentor knowing, then it means you have contravened Rule 2.3. Then you might be found guilty of improper conduct before you are even a professional. So whatever work you do, please just make sure that you are under mentorship and your mentor knows. Because just to emphasize on the mentorship is that if you're working without your mentor knowing it, then who's going to take responsibility of that work? So if whatever work that you perform under mentorship, your mentor is the one who's going to take responsibility. So that's why your mentor must always know what you're doing. And then this one is just to emphasize that the members of the public are entitled to receive quality architectural work. So whatever work you do, we want the members of the public to be happy with your work, because this quality architectural work that we emphasize, that we stand for, that when you're doing your work, we want it to be a quality architectural services that you provide to the members of the public. So that's why we're saying that if you're a candidate, please make sure your mentor knows, because there are certain things that you might not include, but your mentorship could have foreseen. Just to give an example before we go to our Q&A, is that we have had an instance where a mentor went and then perceived himself as someone who is registered, and then he did the work, and only the work to come up with 41 referral from the municipality. So you can imagine how much work still need to be done, because it's 41 referral from the municipality. So this person, because of the fact that he's not competent to be a professional yet, he went and did such a mistake. So make sure your mentor knows at all times. So I'll be taking the Q&As.
Hi there. Okay, so question 1. Rousseau has asked, registered professionals, hold on just a second. We're just going to change our sound here. Okay, so we've got the first question is registered professionals providing design and building service. Is that not a conflict of interest?
Okay, with that one, if you can look at our fee guideline, we have stages of work that can be expected from a registered person, and then also there is where it states that they can be principal agent. So we believe that it's not going to be in conflict, and you can always be honest to your client that you can appoint me to do the work to start it from design and up until the building service. So SACAP does not stop our registered person from doing that. But when you're doing building services, we always expect you to also be registered with the national with NRP, NRBRC. So we also expect you to be registered with them. But SACAP is not seeing that as a conflict of interest.
Okay, and then Rousseau goes on to ask, also providing with the design and building stages 1 to 6 at minimal fees as they make their money through the building process.
Okay, is that a question or it's a statement?
He asked, so also providing, okay, so I think it follows on from that one, just from his first question. So it was registered professionals providing design and building service. Is that not a conflict of interest? Also,
Yes.
providing the design and building stages 1 to 6 at minimal fees as they make their money through building process.
It's just it's unfortunate, but we have that stages where it allows registered persons to do the building services. So, and as well as with regard to the fees, is that we have a professional fee guideline. However, it's just a guideline because we cannot, according to the Competition Commission, so we cannot fix prices to say that when you're doing this certain of work, you must charge this much. So because we don't want to be found wanting by the Competition Commission, so we cannot fix prices. But yeah, that's what it is. It's as unfortunate. Some people are unethical, but if it's a complaint, then you can bring it to SACAP.
Okay, and then our second question is from Prosper. He asked, how does one manage doing their side jobs and working for an employer in terms of agreements with clients?
Okay. So when you are okay, when you are working on your site, and it obviously it means that you have a small practice there, and then you're working on the site or you're working on weekends. So what you do with the agreement, we have a template agreement on our website. You can just include that, use your name, and then once you use your name, obviously you need to comply with Rule 5. You need to let us let SACAP know that you are practicing on weekends under a certain name. So you can write those agreements in terms of that of that practice. So what you need to do is that agreement, take it from our website, right? If it's going to be a weekend job, make it under your name, and then let us know that you're practicing under that name. And then obviously it must be your employer must authorize that, because your employer must also know what you're doing when you're not at work. And then if you're a candidate, obviously you cannot do this.
Okay, that follows into his next one in terms of does one doing side work need to advise SACAP? And the answer is equivocally yes. Question 5 comes from Chinadim. He's asked, would SACAP have any problem with us asking for fees much higher than the guidelines? Current guideline fees hardly support thorough work.
Yes, as I've stated that our professional fee, it's a guideline. It's not a rule. It's a guideline. So, and the fact that we can't fix fees, I think yes, you can ask for much higher price than what is in the guideline, and that's going to be subjected to your clients whether they're agreeing to it or not. But our document is merely a guideline.
Okay, and then the next question is, how can we protect our professional fees being constantly undercut by other professionals and thus lowering the quality of work in our profession?
Okay, I don't understand by undercut, But with regard to the professional fee, is that we have a prescribed professional fee that it's in our guideline. So it's just to echo what I've said before, that it's a document, that it's merely it's a guideline. So we've looked at before is that we've tried to see when there's usually someone who's advertising their services on Facebook, to say that no, get a plan for 500 rents. Most of those things, we have found that those people are not even registered, because now they are not paying annual fees, so that doesn't even bother them. So what we do is that if we see them, those type of adverts, we investigate, and then we take those matters to the police. So that's how we are protecting, making sure that there's no minimal fees, like ridiculously minimal fees from people who are not registered, because I don't think someone who's registered will actually charge 500 rand, or will charge like minimal. But as I've said, we can't fix prices.
Okay, and then Chinedum asked again, sometimes I find issues with QS valuation, and some of them refuse to make corrections, and this could delay the issue of certificates. What do you advise we do in such a scenario?
QS, they also have their own regulatory board, and I believe that if they are doing that professional services, therefore they are registered. So I think you must just bring it up with their regulatory board, make their regulatory body aware that I am dealing with so and so, and he is being unethical and he's not doing his work. I think only their regulatory body can, because we as a SACAP, we only have authority over registered persons who are doing architectural work. So my advice will be that approach the QS regulatory board.
Okay, then we've got another one. What we are seeing is certain professionals undercutting or discounting fees by huge proportions and providing a low quality service. This is mainly aimed at developers. This puts smaller firms at risk because bigger firms can afford to discount fees while smaller firms cannot. So that was just a statement made. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
My comment would just be the fact that this is a democratic country. We all are subjected to other laws, even though we have our Act 44 of 2000. There are other laws that we must adhere to. So if there's a competition act that we must adhere to, we must adhere to it. So it's a little bit unfair, but if they are providing a low quality of work, I think one day it will land on our desk.
Okay, thank you. And then Teresa has said, construction is synonymous with compliance. How do you deal with the non-compliance?
With construction. Okay, with construction, yes. Because there's a NHBRC, and then with us, with construction, if you are appointed up until stage 6, so if you're appointed up until to the stage of a principal agent, that's where we'll look at your conduct at that time. But I believe with generally construction will have to go to NHBRC. We do have a good relationship with NHBRC. And then I know that they actually do site inspections, and they look at how construction is doing. And with us, if you are registered, if you are appointed as a principal agent, obviously we'll also look at your conduct. How are you managing that project? I don't know if I've answered the question.
No, I've got a thing here that says satisfactory response. Thank you. So with that, I'd like to wrap up the session and just thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure that all the attendees found it as informative as we have. We'd like to thank all the attendees for attending. Please note, if you want CPD accreditation and you haven't registered yet, the link is in the chat box. All the recordings will be made available straight after this. You'll be able to view it on demand. And once again, from all of us at African Construction Expo, we'd like to thank our partners at SACAP. And for those of you who don't know that Soaring 21, the SACAP Stakeholder Convention, is going to be taking place tomorrow, and you haven't signed up yet, please do. We're very excited. We've got a lineup of 45 speakers from across the world. It's going to be fantastic. So with that, I say you thanks so very much and good afternoon.
Thank you.